The Brewers come out on the short end of a real good pitching matchup at AmFam Field. Once again, the offense couldn't do the job and help out Teheran. We'll get to that. The heart of the order has just been struggling for the Brewers, and they begin a road trip. All that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, that's when Julio Teheran takes the hill. Or for anybody that matters, you know that offense is going to struggle. They put up the 7 runs on Tuesday night thinking, okay, maybe they'll get on a little bit of a roll offensively, and they go right back to being bad. And I know Zac Gallen was on the hill, but I'm tired of making excuses. I never make excuses, but I don't want to hear any excuse. Well, negativity or anything like that. The heart of the order has just been bad for the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll tell you about that coming up here in a little bit. A Brewer break coming up on Thursday, our off day, before heading into a road trip starting in Cleveland on Friday night. All that ahead in this edition of Locked On Brewers. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chuck Freeman, longtime sports talk show host in Milwaukee, throughout the state of Wisconsin, morning sports anchor at 1310 WIBA in Madison. I've been covering the Brewers for over 40 years. It was great being on a beautiful game today, these midweek games, only to have the Brewers spoil it. Could not score. They got one run. They had a 1-0 lead, but you all knew that wasn't going to last. But thanks for joining me. Follow me on Google, on Apple. We're on Spotify, all those places you could download. I list a bunch of places on my Twitter account, which is at Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. YouTube, we appreciate it. If you could follow us on YouTube as well, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button there, and that alert button will let you know every time we drop an episode Monday through Friday, our 30-minute television show, talking Brewers baseball with you right here on Locked On Brewers. Thank you. Thank you for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And every day is different for the Milwaukee Brewers. We know that. Every day is different. They one constant is you can almost bet that they're going to hit the under. Pretty soon the under in these games are going to be like 4.5. Well, they went out and scored 7 runs on Tuesday night. Got a 1-0 lead into the 5th inning and could not hold it. But Julio Teheran, right off the top. Julio, I said it right on YouTube, right on my banner there. Teheran the Great, because he has been great. 6 great outings so far. 6 great outings. And he's talked about when he was at the Braves, he didn't get any offensive support, or wherever he's been. Same thing here. I mean, the guy goes out, pitches 5 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs. Let me give you some numbers on him. Since Teheran has been a Milwaukee Brewer, 35 innings pitched. Opponents are batting 192, and he's got a 1.53 earned run average. When you think the Brewers would have won a handful of these games or more? Opponents are batting 192 against him, a 1.53 earned run average. He's pitching like he's the guy maybe we should be getting paying $35 million to. I know, only 6 starts, but my gosh. They pulled him out after 88 pitches. 88 pitches, threw 5 innings on 2 hits. And at that point, who didn't say, oh boy, time to turn it over to... Now, Elvis Peguero has been pretty good, but he's not Julio Teheran, okay? Peguero gives him 2 runs there in the 6th inning, and then Diamondbacks pile on 3 more late, and game, set, match to the Diamondbacks. He tried to win this game 1-0. Poor Julio was great again. 35 innings pitched, a 1.53 earned run average. That's every performance I've been out there saying on Locked On Brewers. Let's get a little bit more of a sample size, but I think this is 35 innings is good enough for me. Yeah, this guy's found his groove, and he's a keeper at least for the rest of the season. I mean, he's been the best on the staff. I mean, doesn't have a lot of wins to show for it, Bullpen, Trevor McGill in the bullpen. Looked like his velocity was down on the scoreboard, was not hitting 100 at all. Was not hitting. He's usually hitting around 100, 101, below 100 on everything he threw up there. All right. But the Brewers did have a 1-0 lead in this game. A 1-0 lead in this game in the fifth inning. Tapia homers off Zac Gallen. And we all know Zac Gallen's great. He's now 9-2. He's probably going to be the National League starting pitcher at the All-Star game in Seattle. I mean, you can make a great case for it. Went 7 strong innings, okay? But the Brewers couldn't get anything going against them. Tapia and Christian Yelich are the 2 Brewers who had pretty good numbers against Zac Gallen. Not much out there, but Tapia was pretty nice numbers. And he homered in the 5th inning. But, the Brewers are trying to win games 1-0 and 2-1 like that. And that's going to come back and bite you. And eventually did in the 6th inning when Peguero came on. I would have liked to seen the veteran Teheran pitch one more inning, because Teheran was at 88 pitches. At least let him start the 6th inning. You got your overconfidence in your bullpen. I would have felt more confident with Teheran coming out in the 6th than Peguero. I know it's 20/20 hindsight because Peguero gave the 2 runs right off the bat. But I would have liked to see Teheran start the 6th inning and go that route with him. Would have liked to have seen that happen. Didn't happen. Brewers lose, and Diamondbacks take 2 or 3. So you threw back one of those victories you had this weekend against the Pirates, and now you got a long road trip coming up, beginning in Cleveland, coming up on Friday night. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the week as well. They couldn't keep Arizona from stealing bases at all. Arizona was all over the place, stealing, running, being aggressive on the base paths. And Torey Lovullo says they detected something on the Brewers. We'll get to that coming up here next here on Locked On Brewers, as well as talk about the heart of the order, which really struggled again. Great to have you along here on Locked On Brewers. I'm your host, Chuck Freeman. Thanks for following me along. No game on Thursday. Brewers get back at it with the Cleveland Guardians coming up on Friday, a first of a 3-game set. Our buddy Tom Hamilton, Waterloo, Wisconsin native. He's the play-by-play voice of the Cleveland Guardians. Been there for a long time. Wish he could have eventually moved in the booth with the Brewers back in the 80s. Somehow the Brewers didn't think he was good enough. Tom had to go to Columbus, the AAA team, and work on his craft apparently, but he was great. Anybody who saw him in town thought he was excellent. And then he eventually became probably a Hall of Fame broadcaster with the Cleveland Indians. No doubt about it. Brewers in a first of Cleveland Guardians. Long time, it was the Indians. He joined the Indians. The Cleveland Guardians, I know. So first of 3 at the Guardians, 6:10 coming up on Friday night. Catch every pitch of the Brewers' hometown broadcast, SiriusXM, the SXM app, search Brewers. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. eBay Guaranteed Fit. You can make sure every part you need fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage, look for the green check, know the part will fit or your money back, because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game. When you shop eBay Motors, over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win with the right parts guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available with U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right. I'm going to have to practice this so I get ready for the weekend. Cleveland Guardians, Cleveland Guardians, Cleveland Guardians. Brewers were in the same division with Cleveland in the, American League East and then American League Central before the Brewers made the move to the National League. Cleveland Guardians on tap Friday night. Brewers and Guardians Friday night. Thank you for all you everydayers out there for joining us on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day, following us along on all the platforms that we are on, the #1 Brewer podcast on the internet. And of course, follow us on YouTube, Locked On Brewers, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, and we are right there. Yeah, the Arizona Diamondbacks ran all day on the Brewers. That was another problem. And the heart of the order for the Brewers is another issue. We'll take care of that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Good to have you along, Chuck Freeman. Thank you, all you everydayers out there. Those of you who follow us every day on Locked On Podcast. And by the way, on YouTube, if you're not on Twitter, leave your comments on YouTube. Some of you guys are putting comments on there every day, and I appreciate that. I read it all. Love getting up in the morning in the overnight and reading what you put. We drop these soon after games for you, the video version, audio version, drop overnight usually. But the video, we'll have it ready for you in these afternoon games, right during prime time so you can watch them. And I thank you very much for following along and drop your comments right here. Yeah, Torey Lovullo, the Arizona Diamondbacks manager, said we detected something. Wouldn't say what it is. He's not going to say. I don't know if it was Contreras because Contreras was getting frustrated behind the plate. Don't know if it was him getting frustrated with his pitchers tipping something off or what have you. But Will Contreras was clearly getting frustrated behind the plate. Arizona was taking off, stealing bases on the Brewers. Like when I go to my kid's 12-year-old Little League game, that's all they do, steal bases in the Little League and advance. And it's just not baseball, okay? But at the major league level, you shouldn't have 7 stolen bases in a game against anybody. And Arizona tied a franchise record with 7 stolen bases, running on Contreras, running on the pitchers. But Torey Lovullo said, and I'm sure the Brewers will go over this, they're aware, I'm sure, something is going on with the Brewers that Arizona detected. And other teams will detect this as well because the scouting departments of all these teams and with video and all that, these guys are brilliant. They're able to detect everything. Nothing gets by these guys, okay? These guys do this for a living. These guys have analytic guys. These guys detect everything. The flaw in the Brewers right now has got to be somewhere where with the pitchers or with Contreras that Arizona felt, and they're an aggressive team to begin with, felt that they could keep on running all day against the Milwaukee Brewers, which they did. Kept running. And the Brewers 7 for 7. Not one guy was thrown out trying to steal a base. And, singles turn into doubles turn into triples on double steals. It's a bad thing. So hopefully that's a problem that gets corrected. See what it is, because that'll be an issue. Another issue is the Brewers' heart of the order. Kurt Hogg, the excellent Journal Sentinel beat writer, he along with Todd Rosiak, talked about the 3 through 6 hitters on a tweet today. Says the 3 through 6 hitters on the Brewers, the guys they had in there today, a combined 33 for their last 204 at bats. That's a 162 batting average. How are you not like the worst team in baseball when the last 204 at bats in the heart of the order, 3 for 204, a 162 batting average, and 2 home runs? That order today was not good at all producing, as it has not been. 3, Adames, 0 for 4, Tellez, 0 for 2, Owen Miller, really slumping, 0 for 3, Brian Anderson, 0 for 3. God, Luis Urias, 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. He's down to 146. 146, that's awful. And the Brewers' 162 batting average. I mean, that's just putrid. Good work, though, by Kurt Hogg coming up with that number today. Doesn't make me feel any better about the Milwaukee Brewers and their chances of winning this division. Cincinnati has won 11 in a row. Cincinnati has won 11 in a row. Beat Colorado again today. Beat them again. St. Louis lost. Had their 4-game losing streak coming to an end. The two teams that we kind of watch out for. But Cincinnati keeps on winning, and the Brewers are falling behind them. I believe it's a game and a half. Let me just double check the standings here. I believe it's a game and a half. Yep, they're a game and a half. Cincinnati up to 5 games over the 500 mark, 40-35. The Brewers 2 games over at 38-36. St. Louis 9 games out, 31-44. But I don't know what you do. Sal Frelick, do you get him up here? I saw somebody suggest, I think it was Jack, might have been Jack on Twitter, said today that maybe trade out Hira for somebody. And Hira, back healthy, back ready to play. And, let's give him a shot. I know you got to pay $2 million to get him back up here, but geez, I mean, some of these batting averages and these numbers are just awful, and they get worse. Like I said, when they scored the 7 runs last night, I wasn't excited, but I was thinking they'd come back and maybe it was Zac Gallen today. Do we give the Brewers not enough credit that they were facing a tough pitcher today, one of the best in the National League, a right-hander? But Gallen was so good, Brewers could do nothing against him. All right, we come back. We'll talk about some of the other things that are going on with the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll look ahead to tomorrow's show. We'll talk about Cleveland. That's coming up this weekend. And we'll read some of your tweets. Once again, some of you not happy with the Milwaukee Brewers. Understandably, I'm Chuck Freeman. You're listening and you're watching Locked On Brewers on a Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. All right, we're coming right back. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us here on Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Brewers your first listen to every day. We're the number one podcast, the number one Brewers podcast on the internet. And the reason is because you guys subscribe, you download us, you set the alert buttons wherever you download your podcast, and I appreciate that. That's how you get alerted when we drop the episodes. So the first thing in the morning, it's there for you to hit that. When you hit that alert button, it pops up on your phone, okay? And you look at it, and then you can put us on. And you can also put it on your device at home. If you have devices, we all have, these devices, these home devices have brought radio and video and, audio back into the home once again, just not for the car. That's what these great devices, these home devices, and I have all over my house, listening to music, listening to podcasts. Just go to your device. If it begins with an A, just say, hey, play Locked On Brewers. And the latest episode will come up every morning. It'll be right there for you. But hit your alert on your various platforms. There's probably some alert on there that you can download and have it ready to go when you get the car in the morning or wherever you're going to go. But the Brewers will take on Cleveland, the Guardians, in a first of 3, 6-10 coming up Friday night on the next Brewer game. Catch every pitch of the hometown broadcast, the Brewers hometown broadcast, Sirius XM, the SXM app, search Brewers. All right. Well, let's check, see what Yal had to say today on Twitter. Yeah. I believe I put something out there. Will this 1-0 lead hold up? I would have liked to have seen Teheran pitch another inning. He was pulled after 5 innings, giving up 2 hits. And here we go. Aaron Den says, the offense is brutal. Hopefully the law of averages plays out and they can get some offensive help. Sal, or make a trade of some kind. He means Sal Frelick. Doesn't mean Sal Bando, the late Sal Bando. He means Sal Frelick. But there is a lot of season left. There's a lot of season left. Our sample size here on June 21st is not very good with this offense. It comes to a point, some of these guys are just not going to turn around their season. We're not a month into this thing anymore. We're 3 months in, nearing the All-Star break. Some of these guys just aren't going to turn things around. But I don't know. Hira and Sal Frelick are the 2 options, I guess, unless you pick somebody up. Bandana Guy says, I'm more interested in who the Bucks' Mr. Irrelevant pick at 58 will be. This team has broken my heart once again. Hang in there, Bandana Guy. I'm not going to say, Bandana Guy, better days are coming, but, hopefully better days are coming. Buck Crewer says, it's irritating, and plus Council doesn't have as great a bullpen as he thinks. When they don't have Williams in there with the lead, it's a question about whether or not it's even merely good. No, I know. They pitched well on Tuesday night. 4 scoreless innings. And that's the way it is, though, like a lot of bullpens in Major League Baseball. Your middle relievers are guys who aren't good enough to be starters or good enough to be closers, but they're middle relief guys. If they were, some of those guys were real good, they'd be closing out games somewhere. But Strzelecki's the best they have at the setup spot, and he's had a few cough-ups this year. Got out of a bases-loaded jam on Thursday. Or on Wednesday. Bases-loaded jam on Wednesday. After walking the bases loaded. But yeah, I get it. But middle relief, that's a problem around baseball. If you're another team, you want to get into another team's middle relief early so you can tack on some runs. Even a team like the Brewers, who are just so hopeless on offense, you want to get into another team's bullpen. You want it to get to Zac Gallen today to get into Arizona's bullpen. The middle relief guys. And yeah, I know it's feast or famine with middle relief. And today wasn't great. Williams has had one blow up and that's it. But the rest of those guys, yeah, I get it. You have to watch when the Brewer bullpen comes in. Some of these guys, you got to look over their coffee table and think, oh boy, how are we going to be today with this guy? Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not. That's just baseball. Jesse says, in response to my Teheran tweet, that I wanted to see him come out for the 6th. If a veteran is throwing a shutout and he's less than 90 pitches, and Teheran was at 88, it's an easy decision. He should be starting the 6th. Jesse, you and I are on the same page. Samari says, Craigie is the smartest guy in the room once again. Did he want to put... I didn't see Teheran's postgame or Craig's postgame because we taped this right after the show, after the game today. But he says, did he want to get Teheran out of there when the going is good with 88 pitches after 5 innings? I don't mean to make a big deal about this, but why not pitch him into the 6th inning? Yeah, I think Craig sometimes on the surface, it looks like he's got a little too much confidence in some of those guys in the bullpen, but that's what he's got to work with. Sam says, I think Teheran earned a longer leash. Sure did. Yeah, that was it today. And the Brewers dropped 2 of 3. We got a great show coming up on our off day on Thursday to drop on Friday. Eric Kratz, the former Brewer, who was so great in that postseason in 2018. He was one of their offensive stars when the offense dried up. Kratzy, especially that Colorado series. He's working right now. He's got his own show on Foul Territory. So we'll talk to him coming up tomorrow on the show. And we'll preview the Cleveland Guardians. Everything you want to know. We'll get a little primer on the Guardians coming up for Friday's show. That's all coming up on the off day. Take your Brewer break on Thursday. Get out and enjoy the weather. Hey, you know what? My guy Travis Diener threw out the first pitch at the ball game on Wednesday. No Travis since he's 10 years old. Great guy. Love to see him coach again someday. But I think Travis is enjoying basketball retirement and raising his 3 kids. But yeah, good to see him throw out the first pitch. What a great pitcher he was at Fond du Lac High School. Played on a state championship team back in, I want to say 2000 it was, up at Fox City Stadium. I don't know if led Fond du Lac to a state championship. Basketball's his sport, but he led Fond du Lac to a state championship in baseball. How about that? But Travis threw out the first pitch, and he's a pitcher, and he can bring it. Way to go, Travis. Okay. I'm looking forward to doing the show for Friday with Eric Kratz joining us and talking and getting further into Cleveland. Again, we're stepping out of the division. more times the Brewers are stepping out of the division this year. They're playing everybody because of the new format, and I like that. I think that's one of the few things that the changes that I've enjoyed the Major League Baseball having over the years is expanding this. We're not playing the same team in your division every game. So you're going out and seeing the Seattle Mariners and going on the road and facing Cleveland. I am good with that. Playing everybody in both teams. So interleague play is not special anymore. It isn't. You don't play them as much as teams in your division, but you're still going to see them once a year. Have yourself a great rest of your Wednesday night, Thursday, everybody. Enjoy your day off from the Brewers. We'll come right back and drop a podcast on Friday and get you all set for the Brewers and Guardians. Game and a half out. Hopefully the Cincinnati Reds can cool off as well. So long, everybody. I'm Chuck Freeman. You've been listening and watching Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.